Adventures and temples, snakes and forbidden eyes. You are now tuned in to the Disney Holic Show.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Holic Show. That's Mike TV.
And that's Jen Diz.
Today we head deep into the Temple of the Forbidden Eye with D23's Spotlight Series and Making of Indiana Jones Adventure. Then we head over to Imagineering for behind-the-scenes stories, chats, and a quick shopping spree.
Ooh, adventures.
Yeah, so many adventures to be had. But I thought we would talk real quickly about new adventures that we have to talk about
Yep.
just in our lives and our new local status here near the parks.
Like the
Um,
sands of the hourglass. These are the
yes,
days, Disney days of our lives.
Disney Days of Our Lives. That is right. I thought I would share a couple things. So one is that what was that? We just got a face coverage by Mike.
Face coverage.
Little peekaboo. Okay. I had an interesting situation at the Disneyland parking garage, which also there was another weird situation the day after that at the Disneyland parking garage. Mickey and Friends structure has been quite the interesting kind of hood ratty place
Ooh,
lately.
tacky, tacky. I
So
like that.
yeah, Tacky
Knott's Berry
Tire is going
Farm.
on for sure. So my friend Fargo and I were going to Disney, downtown Disney recently, which we'll talk about here in a second as well. And it was in the evening, we're pulling up, and we're maybe like two, three cars back from getting through where you pay to get in the parking garage. And the cast members from the parking garage or from the parking till or whatever thing we were in line for, they start like yelling all this stuff. And it kind of felt like chaotic. So I started focusing on like, what's going on? I thought something like really bad was happening. And they're yelling to like somebody else down the thing. Turns out when we pulled up, they spilt the tea for us. Somebody drove straight through them and did not pay for parking. Like,
Wow.
what? They just like kept going. And so they were yelling at the next cast members down the way that direct them.
Where could you
And
possibly go if you have to park anyways? You'll get caught, right?
yeah,
That's
I
so
don't.
weird.
Well, at nighttime, it's pretty like fend for yourself, right? Like there's once you go up into a level, there's no more cast members guiding you at that
Oh,
point. So
really?
you could
Oh, I
probably
didn't know
kind of get
that.
away with it a little bit. But it's
Nighttime is
like
the right time,
that
but they
was
got they
ghetto.
have
They're
they
just
have
staring
cameras
there.
too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, they definitely
scary.
have
Would
cameras.
you, and very dangerous. You could hit somebody.
Yeah, that was the weirdest part because then you go through another spot where there's like cones and cast members, and you'd have to like go through the cast members blocking you off
Wow.
or something. Like it's just a little
Shame.
too ghetto for me. Yeah, it was just like not cute. And they ended up driving off to the left. They sent them back out and they followed the rules at that point. They like turned left and then the cast member was like, "Oh, they're doing the drive of shame now." We're
I
like,
feel like they
"Oh,
should
the
have been
drive of
banned for
shame."
life for that.
Right. That's super, super
Uh-huh,
bad.
uh-huh.
So that was interesting. And then yesterday at the parking garage, there was a lot of police activity blowing up. I think it was around like 8 o'clock at night or something, or maybe a little later. Um, all sorts of drama going on
What?
at the parking garage. Turns out somebody had a stolen vehicle and was in mid chase, and they pulled into the parking garage somewhere on the bottom
Wow.
floor, ditched the car, and then disappeared into the parking garage. So they're hiding and doing like they shut
That's
the whole
crazy. Is
garage
this the
down and
one
have to
that was
find this.
live on Reddit? People were posting about as it was happening.
Yes, yeah.
That's crazy. What's going on over there?
I don't know. It's spring break madness over here at Disneyland Resort,
Oh, okay. That could have
right?
something to do with it. Yep.
They're bringing that Knott's
More
energy
people.
for
Bridge and tunnel.
sure.
Bridge and tunnel.
And then that brings me, we're talking about spring break, so it brings me to my next situation over here at Disneyland is reservations. And I know I've complained a couple times about this, but it's really starting to like I'm really starting to just be over it. I didn't go one time last week. Yes, I know, entitled whatever. I live down the street from Disneyland. I don't need to go every day. but like I could not go at all last week
Wow.
because it just sold out the whole week. It didn't let up. Um,
Yeah, you said
and
spring
then
break.
yeah, so that was quite interesting
What's the
seeing.
weather right now? Is it um pleasant?
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty
Wow.
nice.
Darn, that sucks that you can't enjoy the park, but I can see why people
I know
want
it's
to go
still
to it.
it's like kind of perfect. It's like on Monday we had a little bit of a heat wave and today's a little warm still, but over the weekend and all of last week it was like you'd wear like t-shirt during the day, sweatshirt at night. And it's like nice, right? It's like comfortable. And yeah, I couldn't go. And I was kind of itching to go. I didn't have anything to do for the first time since I moved
Oh,
here over the
get that
weekend. And I was
itch.
like, I mean, I found things to do, but I was like, man, I really want to go to the parks right now. And I couldn't. It made me a little crazy, but it's okay. It's fine. I have two reservations this week. I will be fine. But anyway, I just thought I'd share. Um, and in one of the days last week when we could not go, which we saw the when we saw the thief driving through the Disneyland parking garage doing the drive of shame,
Stop
we
thief,
ended
vandal,
up.
outrage, scandal,
Oh, let's not be too.
hasty.
I was trying to think of a unique word. I couldn't do it. Still, I think he's rather tasty. I know I'm not the only one that had to do that to get that out of
That's
my
the best part
system,
of it.
right? Okay, so we went to downtown Disney on Saturday because we could not get into the park. And sometimes it feels like it might be depressing, but it was actually really nice. We went, I can't remember what time, like 7 o'clock at night or something like that. Stayed there till like 10 or 11. And we just kind of waltzed around, did some window shopping. We ate at Trader Sam's, just super vibey. We sat outdoors with the torches and the band playing and shared some really good food, had some drinks. We went over, I checked out the new D-Lander and Marvel shop, which are next door to each other. I still had yet to
Hmm.
see it. They had a band playing in that new outdoor stage area. Super, super cool. And one thing I wanted to mention that I think I might end up doing a deep dive into at some point because I think it's really cool. In the D-Lander shop, are you familiar with this shop?
Yes, I've seen
Okay.
it. I have not been into it.
Okay. So it's like kind of fancy. It's like little higher priced items. Some designer clothes are in there. It was like kind of like the dress shop meets designer Disney wear, right? And it's very like cute in there and trendy. And in the background of like where the cashiers are, there's this giant photograph mural on the wall of this woman, this like beautiful woman. She looks very old school. And so I was like, who is that? What's the story with this woman, this random woman? I don't recognize her. And it was so cute. The lady working, she goes, I had to look into this because people have been asking. And she took out her little binder. And it turns out it's a woman that basically like photobombed one of the like she's like, I don't know if it's opening day, but it was around opening of Disneyland, like sometime back in the day. She wasn't supposed to necessarily be in that photo, but she got in it, and everybody just like were glued to her. So they took her photo and blew it up and put it on this
What?
wall.
That's
She was just like
weird.
this really pretty woman. I guess turns out that they like knew some stuff about it. I think she went on to be a model and this and that, whatever.
Was
So
she
like
wearing a dress that they sell or
it's
something?
basically no, it's like
Oh.
top up. It's like her
Oh,
shoulders up.
interesting. Now,
It's
wasn't
very
there
cute,
also
but
a clothing store before called Trendy?
yep. Yep.
Uh-huh. That
There
sounds familiar.
was.
How
There
funny.
was also
Okay.
the vault. Like all these stores are
The
like it
vault
was
I
kind of like the
remember.
hot topic of Disneyland, right?
Uh-huh.
That's gone too. So, um, one thing I noticed, there's this other store I didn't even know existed in downtown Disney, and I already forgot what it's called. It has a very cute logo though. And it's all like the merch that it's in where Wonderground used to be, and it's like the merch you would see in Wonderground without any of the artwork anymore. So now Wonderground has pulled
Oh,
their art and has a strictly art store that's now Wonderground, and now this
okay.
other place is renamed something else. And it has all that other stuff. Remember, you go in Wonderground, there's like paintings on the wall, but then there's all this stuff everywhere, like cute
Yeah,
merch, right? So they still have it. They just kind of now separated into two stores, which I actually think is pretty cool. So
that makes
that
sense.
was nice. Yeah. So yeah, a lovely
Huh.
evening downtown Disney. We walked out with some sweet shop treats on the way out, and it was a great night.
That is only it was only because you couldn't get into Disneyland that you started thinking, oh, what a bummer day it could be. But then
It's
it's
true.
right, if you take that part away, an amazing Disney day.
Oh, you know what else I forgot to mention? I went to that new market that has all the little mini restaurants in it, or there's only like three, but like
Oh, okay.
mini restaurants. And then they have upstairs, they have a bar that you can also order food from downstairs. And the coolest part is they have this big balcony area with this vaulted open air like wall. You know what I'm talking about? Like the
Ooh,
wall is just
yeah.
open. It's nice. And the weather was great that night too. It was like just a little breeze. It was like,
Ooh.
ugh, I was like, oh, this is nice up here. I really like it. And they have a Korean place in there that sells.
Ooh.
Do you remember when we were in Phoenix and I was freaking out about those? I think it was called Cup Pop. Those little bowls that
Uh-huh,
have
uh-huh.
like
It was by the
bulgogi and a
movie
bunch of stuff in
theater.
it.
Yeah.
Yep, they have that there. So I'm like, gotta come back here and get this.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Look, and
pretty
you don't
excited.
even need a park ticket.
I know. It was a very nice night. If you are spending only a few hours, I would highly suggest giving downtown Disney a little more credit than I have in the past.
And then especially if you're staying on property, that could also be your hotel day to do
Yeah.
pools and all that. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. How about you?
Well,
What's going on over on the east side?
similarly here at Disney World, I did a lot of non-park stuff, and I did a Grand Circle tour. I'm just calling it that. It's not called this, but I'm calling it. It's the Grand Circle tour of the Epcot resorts. And so what that means is we took, well, we started at Yacht Club, and then we took the friendship boat to Swan and Dolphin, and then to Hollywood Studios. And
Okay.
then we left the boat from Hollywood Studios, boarded the Skyliner doo-doo-doo, to Caribbean Beach Resort, then to Riviera Resort, and then to Epcot International Gateway, the back of Showcase, which, by
Mm-hmm.
the way, was like on fire recently,
I
but
saw that
that's a
too.
whole other
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Been a whole bunch
Um,
of weird stuff going on.
yeah. And you can get a good view of Paris, the Eiffel Tower from the Skyliner. And then we got out there, and instead of going into Epcot, we took the friendship boat back to Yacht Club from Epcot. Dun-dun-dun. And then we did a whole circle. And that was like an hour and a half. It was so fun. It was a nice day. Didn't need park tickets. And then we had dinner at Ale and Compass in the Yacht Club. Ba-dum-bum.
But lots of but bumps
I
today.
know.
Okay.
I just think it was so perfect. I was just like, good job planning this, Mike TV.
This is kind of cool. We've kind of had similar things going on where we did like non-park things. What was your
Yeah.
reason for not doing parks?
So my mom was visiting, and we didn't want to buy park tickets because it would have only been for a
Mm,
couple hours, if anything. And so we're like, let's still
gotcha.
go. Yeah. And then you still get to go. So when you're in Yacht Club, each resort has really cute shops that has some of the Disney World stuff and then specific to the resort stuff. So you also get to shop. So you can get that itch scratched, which is nice. We went to Ale and Compass for dinner. Really good. It's like they describe themselves as a New England style restaurant, so it's kind of seafoody, but
Okay.
still comfort foody Americana. And it was really good. I
Uh,
had a mahi mahi fish of the day, and then we had some other stuff. But most importantly, at the very end, the server comes up and she goes, "Oh, what are your plans for the rest of the night?" And we said, "Oh, we're just probably gonna head back and relax." Um, and she goes, "Okay, blah blah blah." And then right before we leave, she comes back and she goes, "This is a magical moment. It's not on the menu." And we open the box, and it's a Mickey hat-shaped chocolate dessert thing with sprinkles. So
wow.
cute, so cute. And she goes, "I needed to know if you're heading to the parks or not, so I knew what to get you," or something. She said something like that. So that's why she
Cute.
knew we could take it back. She goes, I think you're gonna be heading right back. Da-da-da-da. To
How
go
good,
dessert.
but
But up, up, isn't that the best? A to go dessert.
that is very nice, especially when you didn't have to ask or pay for it.
There you go. And there you
That
have it,
is a
magical
magical
moment.
moment. Yep.
and without being in the parks. But okay, and then we went to Disney Character Warehouse another day, and I finally went to the one. I don't know, they both look the same in terms of the outlet malls that they live in. So I can't really tell the difference until I get into the store. Turns out we went to the smaller one.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the same reaction.
it's so hard to
It's like,
like
ugh.
tell ahead of time. You have to remember. Oh no, no, I wasn't doing that. I just like
Oh,
just like you.
yeah, it
I
is.
feel bad because you like can't. How do you know?
Yeah, you really can. And here's the good thing. My new location is smack dab in the middle, meaning like distance is the same for both. So I
Okay.
was just like roll the dice 50-50, and then next time I'll know which one is the right one.
It's Vineland or something, right? This is a good one. Is that right?
Yes, I went to the
I can't
International
believe I remember
Drive.
that.
I drive. So yeah, you know the right one.
I can't
And
remember anything, but that is something I retain. What the heck?
it's important
Anyway.
important information. The outlet mall looks exactly the same. Like the food court looks exactly the same. And until you get into the store, I was like, oh, it's small. Where's the like clothes? Like there's not enough for stuff. But it's still really fun and exhilarating to shop. And um, I guess because it's the smaller one, I don't know if it was the timing or not, but it wasn't that crowded and there was no line to wait to get in. So it was like, okay. And I did get some
Nice.
stuff. So check out Instagram if you're listening or watching, because I posted some of the things I got there. Some good stuff.
Very
What else?
nice.
Local things that we did. Oh, I finally got around to smelling the Bed Bath and Beyond Disney Princess line
Oh,
that the Disney heads were
how
like,
do the princesses smell?
right? They were so excited about it. When was that? Like a few months ago?
Not even. It was pretty recent. I've we've
Oh,
only been living in this spaces for less than 2 months, right?
that's good then. That means I'm not as behind as I thought on like
Yeah.
reviewing it. Um, but I've heard some good and very bad things about it, but I loved them and they're good sale. They were on sale, so I bought a whole bunch of body sprays because you know I love the body sprays.
You
Spritz, spritz,
do.
spritz.
You do.
And to be honest, all Bed Bath and Beyond scents, they all smell the same to me. Like
Well, no wonder
just
you liked them all.
like they smell like the good ones at least that I end up buying. They all smell like those hotel lobby things, that nice
Yeah.
hotel collection. And so I'm like, they just got me by the name. Like it says Moana. It smells good, but it has nothing to do with Moana. But the bottle is cute.
So
And
I was
same with
hearing
the
that
others.
they all smell like they are something familiar to the princess. Like the Moana one smells like the ocean, like sea. You know, they make that salty
Yeah,
sea
so the
smell,
part of the name and the colors and then the branding description is
but
all
not the
like that.
smell.
But I mean, it's just like in your head. I'm like, okay, I guess
Is
this
it
is like
really?
tropical
I
island.
haven't smelled them yet, so now I
Yeah.
need to test it out. Because
I and,
supposedly
and
jasmine smells like jasmine, and
that one should be easier. I need to go check to see if it has
oh, I'm
jasmine in
so
it.
curious now if I
Yeah.
can smell
But
different or if my brain's
in
playing
general,
tricks
like
on me.
with candles and stuff, I just go if it looks cute and I like the name, and then I just believe it. I go, oh yeah, this smells
You're
like
hilarious.
some of them are like real obscure. Like it'll be like cozy nighttime. Like what is that supposed to smell like?
Yeah. Yep.
But if it smells good, I go, oh, okay, I like this.
And then
Spray,
you're
spray.
like, you smell, you're like, oh my God, that is
Yep.
exactly what cozy nighttime
Yep.
smells like.
Gullible to the marketing. So, anyways, Bed Bath and
Suckers.
Beyond. If you like Bed Bath and Beyond scents in general, you'll like the princess stuff. If you don't like that stuff where it like makes you choke, then you're not gonna like these.
Okay.
But
Noted.
it's still nice to see the pretty princess branding. They get like their own little table and everything like that. And then lastly, we were talking about Moana, but I wanted to ask our listeners and viewers, fellow Disneyholics, we're planning a family trip to Disney Alani in about a month. We'll be there. So any tips that people have for like large groups going, like about 10 people, like what is that like? What did you think about it? What tips do you have for first time visitors of Disney Alani? Let us know, DM us, whatever, call in. So we could talk about it and I could use your advice. Thank you.
Wow, 10 people? I thought it was like four of you.
10. Yep.
Ooh,
It grew. It grew.
that's wild. Good luck with that. No, it should be nice. A Nalani stay, it's not like you're going to Disneyland, right? Like a
Yeah,
Nalani
very relaxed.
vacation. Yeah.
Mostly like older aunties and uncles. So it'll
It's
be
going to
just
be very White
chill.
Lotus.
Very, very White Lotus. Which we need an entire podcast just to talk about that. Oh my God.
I know. I'm still not caught up. Don't spoil anything. Okay.
Well, if you're on YouTube, our background is actually reminding me now of White Lotus, Thailand. Dun, dun.
Oh. So, okay. We're not going to do White Lotus chat, but I'm
Nope,
excited
nope.
about it. All right. Well, anything else from your side of the planet?
Those are the Disney East Disneyholics shenanigans. That's it.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to share something that happened a few weeks ago. Actually, it was was it the end of January or the very beginning of February? I'm now forgetting. Or maybe the end of February. It's March. What's happening? It's the end of
It's
February.
end of March now, yeah.
What's who, where, what's going on? Okay. The end of February, um, or I'm sorry, D23 had a thing that's brand new called the Spotlight Series. This is the very first one they've ever done. It was called Indiana Jones or the making of Indiana Jones Adventure, right? So this felt, by the way they're describing it, that this would be very much like a panel you would see at D23.
Oh,
So it's a
okay.
one thing, one panel only. And if you got tickets, which they sold out so fast, I was lucky enough to get in. Um, and you get to go to the Imagineering campus, and which is
Oh,
also, for those of you who don't know, you cannot visit unless you have some way in, like you're a guest of somebody or you have an event like this going on that you've been able to get tickets into. So very cool. You got to see this
where is that?
talk. Where is it? It's in
For
Glendale.
Glendale, California. Okay.
Yep. So north of here, about an hour drive from here. I think it took me like an hour and a half to get home. LA traffic, but it's okay. I knew what I signed up for.
LA girl now.
Yep. It was crazy. But it was totally worth it nonetheless. So I will say before I even get into the details that it was exactly that. It felt just like being at a D23 panel. So fascinating. Like I am absolutely obsessed with this. I hope they continue to do them since it was their first. I know they had a second shortly after in Disney World about Space Mountain.
Ooh,
So
I
I'm really
missed that
hoping
one.
they get these ones going.
I do
I
know of
know.
somebody who went, but we can't talk about it.
Uh, why can't we
Ooh,
talk
more
about
hot
it?
gossip.
Oh, okay. You have to tell me that one off air. All right. But yes, this one was held at both the Imagineering campus and the Grand Central Air Terminal, which is part of Imagineering. And it's kind of cool because they've never let any guests into the Grand Central Air Terminal before for any event or anything. And it happened to be on their 96th birthday. So just cute, like
Oh,
things to celebrate going on. First ever Spotlight Series, first time people are here on the 96th birthday. Just a big deal. It was really, really cool. And it just was like one of those days you're full, like everyone there they're all Disney holics. Like every single person
yeah.
there, right? And it's not very big. It was maybe a couple hundred people max. Like it wasn't a lot of people. So it's not like the mess of going to a convention either. It's very well organized. They split it up to where there's two separate groups. And even in those groups, there was little breakups too that like kind of divvied up where you were or spending your time. And because this included some other things at the Imagineering campus, they had some of us start there, some of us start later at the Grand Central. We all convened in the middle for that big talk, right? So I'm going to tell you guys about the talk. You excited?
Yeah.
You want to learn some things about Indiana
Adventures of
Jones?
Indiana
And the
Jones.
making of it? Yeah. All right. So they had three panelists. They had Daniel Ju, Susan Bonds, and Sharita Carter. They're all Imagineers. The only name that was actually familiar to me was Sharita Carter. She did Tiana's, for instance, and a lot of more recent. She's like a more recent Imagineer than the other two. The other two are a little more. in that
Wait,
like
can I drop
90s
some
era.
really interesting knowledge about our girl Sharita Carter?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so Sharita Carter also produced Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
She did.
She
She
did.
did.
She also was part of a team. This is the coolest name. It's called WDI's Scenic Illusion Team.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, and she led that team. This was before she got these big ride jobs. And their entire team, their job was to experiment with technology, specifically technology, to find new ways to do storytelling on in cruise ships, parks, and shows. I thought that was really cool. I was like,
Interesting. I wonder
okay.
what she worked on in the parks before the rides. Like a scenic illusionist sounds like pretty big for not an attraction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess you have to like get the scenic illusion team to work with you on the ride you're working on or the dining hall on the cruise ship. That's really interesting. And it makes sense because both Mickey and Minnie's and Tiana's Bayou want to have screens in them, for better or worse.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For better
She's
or
like,
worse,
this
for
is my
sure.
thing, this is my project, so I'm gonna bring it in. I mean, it
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep.
And she also graduated from Cal State University in Northridge.
Nice. I don't have information on the other two pulled up, but Susan Bonds, I believe it was her. She is the CEO of the um I forget what it's called, but it's the area on Rafiki's Nature Watch or whatever it's called,
Oh, yeah, that's what
where
it's
they
just
like
called, right?
work, where they do like repairs on animals. It's like the little
Repairs.
hospital in there. I think
It's
they
like
call it
Cars
something like the
Land.
repair workshop or something like that.
Maybe like re rehabilitation. But yeah,
Maybe.
I know what you mean. And it's a very cool place to visit because you could see live things happening behind the
Yep.
glass. Very
Weren't
cool.
wasn't I with you when they were working on like a turtle?
Yeah, yeah. She had
Oh.
a I'm yelling right now. She had a hole in her shell, and they had to like patch it up. Oh,
Oh. I still said working on as if it's a car. Okay.
right.
I'm really stuck on the repairs. So they have these three Imagineers here. Daniel Ju and Susan Bonds worked on the original creation of Indiana Jones Adventure, and Sharita Carter came in later for the updates that we've seen recently done. Um,
Oh,
More of the like projection mapping and
there we go. She
like
loves that
the
projection
eyes of
mapping.
Mara. Yeah, definitely. Definitely that.
Illusions. What a cool job to
Scenic
have.
illusions. Um, so part of this talk was just like going through the stages of creating this attraction, right? And they started off with the origin, which is the best place to start in anything. Um, and what it kind of came down to was research and development, like R&D, had created this new ride vehicle tech, right? This the Jeep that we all
Oh, the
know from
Jeep.
Indiana
Okay.
Jones. They had created this without knowing that it was going to be used for Indiana Jones. It wasn't like we have this Indiana Jones ride we need to do, let's build a ride vehicle. It was more like, hey, we figured out this new really cool thing. What can we do with it? And then meanwhile, the 40th anniversary of Disneyland was coming up. And like, what's something big that we can add to the park that uses this ride technology and possibly some IP? Well, they had recently also become like best friends of Lucasfilm, right? Getting Star Tours in and doing lots of other promotional things with them and Captain EO and all this stuff. So they already had a relationship built with Lucasfilm. So like we need an Indiana Jones attraction and why not soup up Adventureland? So they started looking
Soup it up.
at Adventureland then. Huh?
Soup it up. You're in car mode right
Soup it
now.
up. I am.
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that ride needs some souping up. Speaking of, anyways, so so Disneyland was celebrating 40 years and they called it 40 years of adventure, right? Because now they're focusing this whole thing, this whole anniversary is going to be focused around this attraction. So it's going to
Even
be a
like the
big deal. They knew
font
it.
and
Yep.
everything was
Very
looked like
Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones, right? Love it.
Totally. Now, one crazy thing about this, and I hadn't really thought about this until the talk, was this is the first attraction added to Adventureland in 30 years, or
So
almost 30
long.
years. Tiki Room opened in 67. So, like, what? That's a long time for nothing to be changing over there. And so they're like, this is the time, and this is now something big that we can do. This Jeep makes sense. We've got this great IP. Bring Indiana Jones into Adventureland makes so much sense, right? So then they moved on to the creation of the actual content and concept of the ride. And they really wanted to stay true to the original concept of both Disneyland and Adventureland. So they kept referencing Herb Ryman's concept art of both Adventureland itself and Disneyland as a whole, and really like trying to like keep in the original idea of how that was supposed to be. They don't want to just go too haywire with like different ideas. They want it to stay true to the original concepts, right? And so this attraction, they realize they're going to need a lot more space than anything they have in Adventureland. So they're going to build the show building outside of the berm, which was the first time they've broken the berm, right? This is the first
I
time.
remember that being such a cool story to hear about. Like
Yeah,
that's like when our Disneyholic brain started brewing about like operations. Like, wait, what? And then
right.
it took up part of the parking lot. What? And then
Hold
go
on a
away
second.
green, all that. It's crazy.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, hold on. Is the Haunted Mansion outside of it? Because you go
Oh,
under the railroad tracks.
under the railroad track, the elevator ring. Yeah.
So it's not then, right? It's not the first outside the berm. Maybe I was incorrect in saying that.
Oh, it's the first outside of the berm that is in Adventureland.
Thank you. There we go. That's right. Why did I have that piece of knowledge in my head? That is incorrect. I take that back. It must have been Pirates, I think was probably the first. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that one goes
So,
past it too?
I mean, it has to, right? That big ass show building. And you have to go down the waterfalls to go under
Oh,
the
there you
railroad tracks. There's
go.
always a drip, a drop, a drip.
Drip, drop.
Anyways, drip drop.
Well, Pirates was the first in New Orleans. Oh, wait a minute. No, Haunted Mansion was, right? Oh, they're both in the same
No,
land.
Pirates was first.
Oh, Pirates
Yeah.
was first. Okay.
Yep. Anyways, moving on. Just pretend I didn't say that.
The
Um,
berm.
the attraction itself was going to add an entire third of the footprint of Adventureland, like and a whole extra
Mm,
33% to Adventureland, which is just crazy to think about. Um, and with that said, Imagineers, they were talking about what they do in the blue sky element, right?
oh,
They they have this way of thinking really big first and then starting to pull it back for other things like logistics and budgets and stuff like that, right? They let them go wild with like what they think. And I don't know if any of you have seen the concept art of what Indiana Jones Adventure was supposed to be, but it was a way grander scale than
crazy.
what we have today. It was super crazy. So it was supposed to be called Indiana Jones and the Lost Expedition, and it was going to be not just like an attraction, it was going to be like this whole area with multiple attractions. Really two new attractions, and then it would also include two other ones that we already know about. So, first off, they needed a Jeep attraction. They have this Jeep, right? So, they're going to make basically what we have today. So, that was something that was in the plans for this original concept. But they also had three other things they were adding into this thing. One was a mine train coaster, so like
Love
the
it.
wild mine car, right? Which ended up still happening. It is now in Disneyland Paris. I
It
didn't
is.
realize that
And
was the same one.
do you know it's an off-the-shelf coaster, though? It's not a
Yes.
Disney
Yeah.
coaster. Whoops. But you know what? We love them sometimes, like Goofy Sky School. Do we love that?
No.
Oh. We like to
I
watch people on it.
I like to watch people end the ride on
And
that.
the ride.
Yeah, specifically.
Indiana Jones Mine Train. And in Tokyo, I think they have it too. Paris and
Oh, do
Tokyo.
they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've not been on it, either version.
I've been on the Paris one and it was very lackluster. You walk in looking like there's this
Yikes.
big temple, and then all of a sudden you're just on this like roller coaster. Like, oh, it's like meh.
I think it goes backwards at one point. That's supposed to
I
be
don't
like the
think
big
that one
twist.
does.
Oh,
I don't remember.
cursed spirits or
It
something. I
sounds
don't know.
like I remember that though being a thing, but I don't remember that being at the Paris one. Well, whatever. It's been a long time. I haven't been
Not
there in like
memorable.
15 years at this point. It was definitely not. But, if it was like in addition to a land with a big E ticket, this is now like Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, right? So that's actually good for that. Anyway, They also were going to do an extension to the Jungle Cruise to go into the same area as well as the Disneyland Railroad. So you would get a glimpse of riding through part of the ride. And this is similar to what you would see like when you're on the railroad and you can see inside Tiana's Bayou, right?
Wait,
Bayou
we don't
Adventure?
see the inside of Indiana Jones on the railroad?
No.
Oh, missed opportunity there, guys.
They tried. They had it in the concept art. But one thing that was really cool about this is that that great grand room that you're in with the giant bust of Mara, right? The big crazy room. All four of these things were supposed to go and intersect in this room somehow.
So
So it was
cool.
like this living, breathing space of four different attractions all like coming into that space at some point. I thought that part was really cool. Like that just sounds crazy, like how they could even have all that work out together. So
So
it was a
cool.
great concept, did not happen because of those things like budget cuts and logistics, right? So they're like, this is
People
just
to
not going to
this
work.
day still make versions of what this would have looked like in Roller Coaster Tycoon online.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love it. Is that
And
still
it,
a thing? Can you play that right now
oh
on like
yeah, I still
Switch or
play it all the
something?
time. I
What
play
is
it
it on?
on, I think it's on Switch now. I play it on the iPad or on
Cute.
Steam. Yeah, it's fun. But
That's
like
funny.
even when I build stuff, I still think about that when I'm building my parks in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Like I want an area where all the things are in the same theme and they intersect and the river goes under and then the loop-de-loop goes. So cool. Wow,
That
we
is
could have
very
had it
cool.
at Disneyland.
Could have had it. Could have, would have, should have. And remember, this is 1995. Like I still think every time I go on Indiana Jones, I'm like, I can't believe this ride is 30 years old. Like that's
500
just
years old.
crazy. It's so before its time. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention at the top of the episode. This was the reason they did this Spotlight series for Indiana Jones is because it was celebrating its 30th anniversary. So it just had its 30th anniversary as well, which is really, really cool. Okay, let's see. So some of the like challenges they had, I guess you would say, or opportunities, it's a more positive way to say that, that they had while creating this ride is that they had to shoehorn this attraction in between Pirates and Jungle Cruise, right? So when they had originally figured out how to do that, they're like, we're gonna have to have this really long queue to get you from Adventureland back into a show building. So that's why the queue is so long, right? It's built out of both necessity and
It's very long.
theming. It is very long. Sometimes when I'm really tired and people want to go on Indiana Jones, all I think about is like, oh my God, it's like a mile walk just to get on that ride. Like,
You're walking all the way out to the old parking lot and back.
yeah, it's crazy. And they ended up going over 50 iterations before making a final decision on what they would do with this ride. So I would love to just see all those. Like, what are the things that they come up with before they came up with what we see today? Um, and one of the things they had to sacrifice for this was that they actually had to reroute 200 feet of the Jungle Cruise. So we lost some of the Jungle
Oh,
Cruise to create this
that
ride.
was
Like, you know
part
how
that
we,
actually happened? I did not know
yep,
that.
like we lost some of Rivers of America for Batu, right? Similar idea.
I'd like to talk to any of our listeners or viewers that were protesting that in 1992 when it was
I
leaked somewhere
know.
like on some message board. Like what
You
were the fans
know,
like back then when something like the
I
Jungle
would love to know
Cruise,
that. Yeah,
right, was getting shortened by 200 feet?
I would love that. Yeah, because it came out in 95. Like the internet was so in its infancy. I don't even know if they had message boards
Oh
yet.
yeah, it's like Disboards and all that.
Like, do you
Prodigy.
remember? Are you sure? Because
Uh,
because before message boards, we had ma email lists. Do you remember that?
I think so. I think so.
That was like,
95, I was a freshman in high school. High.
yeah, and
So
high.
I think computers like my
Are
seventh
you though?
grade is when I was interneting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember when message boards became out because I remember when I was going to raves, I was on email lists because there weren't such things yet. So that's like
Email
crazy.
lists.
Anyway, so one of the things they did in this discovery process of creating this ride was they got with Bill Evans, who is an Imagineer. He was the original landscape artist of Disneyland. So they brought him in and he walked them through and told them the origin of every single tree. where they got it from. Like, you know, those fancy
Oh,
restaurants
I
that tell
like
you where the
that.
cow came from? He did it for all the trees. He knew all the backstories, where they got it, like how old it is, all the things. And when they knew they were going to lose some of the Jungle Cruise, they tried to save as many trees as possible. And they ended up saving a lot because they really wanted to like immerse you in feeling like you were in like a jungle atmosphere. And so why not reuse these trees in the queues to where they're already grown so lush like the
I
Jungle
like
Cruise,
that.
right? So yeah, so they got to reuse a lot of them and kept it just really nice. They also said they bought all of the bamboo out of 3 states. Like they cleared
Oh,
out 3 whole United States of bamboo. Like that's
you
just
know, you
crazy
would
to
have,
think
I
about.
would have thought those weren't even real. They,
Oh yeah, no, they
in a
totally
good
are.
way, like they made it look so real that I thought, no, these have to be acrylic or
Right.
something.
Like
Yeah,
we can we even grow that
that's cool. And they're
purposefully
like
here? Yeah.
shiny and they last a long time.
Yeah. And if you look, people love to carve their initials into it. I do not
Ooh.
condone, but people do it
What would you
on the
carve
way on
in
the exit.
if they said you're allowed to?
Jen Diz was here. KIT, see you next summer. I don't know.
IT.
What would you put in it?
I don't know. I
Now you gotta
would
come up with something clever if you're
I
gonna put
know.
me on
I
the
just wanted
spot.
to put you on the spot. I would put, I guess, Mike TV, just not was here. But that
WUZ
is more like
here.
90s to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Page me. Put my little
Beat me
pager code.
911 and
I'll
call
put my
me on
pager
your
code.
cell phone.
I'll put
Yeah.
was here with pager code. Okay, I like it.
25,
95. That's when it
17.
opened. Definitely was doing that at the time. So, did you know that the Indiana Jones adventure is supposed to immerse you in the lands of India? You're in a jungle in India in 1935. Do you know that?
Yes, I do pay attention to the pre-shows. I love a pre-show.
Oh, okay, okay. I love it. They went through super big lengths to make sure that they had a lot of authentic things, like the way
Oh,
they used ropes and certain things in the queue. They used the same materials they would have used in the 30s, and like
so
they went
cool.
through the full Imagineering extent to make sure things are very authentic, which is very cool. And then we get to the queue, because let's be real, the queue is the best queue ever, right?
It's a very good cue. It was at the
It is
time for me, the first time I even knew that people would think about making anything more than a switchback. Like it's just like,
right.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like you're going somewhere. There's an occasional
Hmm.
switchback here and there, but you're like going from one place to the other. It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And I think it was also the first queue to have interactive things in it as well. Like
Oh,
you can
pull that
trigger things to
pole,
happen. Yep.
the rope in the well. And you know what?
Yep.
It has become the um the reference point because now if I go into any queue that's themed, I go like, oh, it's kind of like Indiana Jones, or I'll say like, that Indiana Jones style queue, or
Yeah, yep.
and then people understand what you mean.
Totally.
Wow.
So one thing, another did you know, this is like part of the storyline again. Um, and I knew this, but for some reason I just like liked hearing them say it. This is supposed to be Indiana Jones and you, like your team, you guys are all archaeologists, and he has gone into this temple and he is lost. He has not returned. So now you and your team are getting sent in to go find him. So you get to kind of find out through watching the movie that him and Sala were discussing, and Sala
Oh,
was like, "You can go first, like he does in the movies," and he lets Indiana Jones go on his own, and then he's now not returning, and we need to
which
go
is
find him.
really sad. I recently watched the new one again, and he didn't go with him. He wanted to, but Indy told him to stay home.
Oh, wait, which new one? The last movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, cute. Speaking of Sala, he was at Disneyland for the 30th anniversary and he went on the ride. Is that not so cute?
Oh,
So cute. So let's see. So yeah, so we're supposed to be going on our own Indiana Jones adventure. We get to feel what it's like to be in Indiana Jones, and we're gonna go save him from this temple. Um, They did a lot in the queue to really set the mood and the ambiance, right, as you're going through. For instance, some things they do when you start walking into the temple, it gets really cold, right? And like damp.
Oh,
So they're
yeah.
controlling that by making it feel like, okay, I'm in this cavernous area. It feels a little damp in here and leaky.
I feel like I can hear
Um,
water drop.
I was just hearing that in my head when I
Yeah.
was talking about it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you can, but now I'm
Cavernous.
curious. I feel like you can. Very cavernous. They also purposely make it feel like apprehensive. So you'll see as you're walking through, there's booby traps that have already been sprung, probably
Uh,
by Indiana Jones himself. For instance, you'll see like um, a rolling wall door that has been like propped open with pegs on the ground, like or pieces of bamboo. So you can see somebody's already been here and they fixed this door to so it doesn't roll shut, right?
thanks,
So you can
Indy.
kind of see these booby traps that have been triggered already and fixed. Um,
First of all, my most of my childhood, I thought it was called b boogie traps, like boogeyman.
Boogie traps,
And then
boogie, boogie, boogie.
later in life, as like probably like late teens, when I found out it was a booby trap, I thought that was worse, like perverted.
I remember, so my mom played bonk or not bonko, bunko with a bunch of people, and they had booby prizes. I remember they're
Yeah,
called
booby
booby
prize.
prizes.
Yep,
And
that's
I
what
was
I learned
always
later.
so awkward about it. I was a little kid, and I'm like, why are they called booby prizes?
Why
Like,
is it?
I don't know actually.
And the
Why
traps.
are
Weird.
booby traps called booby traps? We need to ask Vicky, our friend, and
Bo
figure that one out.
booby prize makes me think because you're the boob, like womp womp. But why? Why
Oh,
boob?
that is called a boob,
Is
huh?
it?
Or does that just sound right?
It sounds right, but then again, why is it the same word as
Yeah, why are they like, what's wrong with boobs? Shouldn't use it in bad
in a
things here.
derogatory way? Okay, since we're already on a side quest, the I saw this meme with Ariel and her outfit, the cartoon Ariel, and she it goes, "How does Ariel choose which sea creatures are her friends or will become her bra?"
Say that again? What? Which one of her friends will become her bra?
Yeah, it says, "How does she decide which sea
Oh,
creatures can be her friends and which ones will become her bra?"
how sad. Come on, she obviously
Uh,
gets the ones that have been vacated. But I don't think clams, they're not like hermit crabs. They don't just
yeah, I think they're they are the tongue itself.
gross. So
Oh
I
my
looked
God.
up why a booby trap is a booby trap.
Okay.
And it says it likely originates from the seabird known as the booby, specifically the genus Sula, which are clumsy and slow on land, making them easy to catch, thus suggesting a trap designed to catch the unsuspecting.
Ah, genius.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a booby trap. What the heck?
That's gonna come in handy one day, knowing the meaning of that.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Yeah.
everybody.
You're gonna win that
Thank God you
trivia,
listened to the
people.
Disney Holic show today. All right, let me get back to my notes here. Goodness gracious. Okay. So, we're talking about the making you feel apprehensive with the booby traps. Also, claustrophobic was done both by design and necessity, which this one's kind of cool. So they make you feel a little claustrophobic, so you get a little more anxious. But the necessity part is that I thought this was so cool. At one point in the queue, there was only 16 feet between
Wow.
Pirates of the Caribbean and the Jungle Cruise that they had to
Wow.
build in. So, like, it literally had to be tight at some points in there.
Wow.
Super, super cool.
So
Another nece-
we need to find that part in the queue,
I know.
right? And then make a chain of people and we can say we're touching three rides at
Yep,
one time.
yep,
Wow.
yep. I have no idea where it is, and it's really hard because the exit you can't see it through the whole thing, so I can't tell like where
The
that lines
pinch
up.
point is.
I always imagine it's like right next to it, but I don't actually know that. You know, there's like parts where
Huh.
you can't see, but I'm assuming it has to be if it's pretty tight, right? Okay. Another necessity that they had to kind of go through was guiding you through a queue under the railroad beyond the berm, right? So like that's I already talked about that. That's like why they made the queue so interesting because they knew they were like really aware that this is a very long queue and we have to make it really cool for them to wait in line this whole time. So, um, yeah, that's kind of how that whole idea came about and kind of set the standard of the new queue system, which is
Yep.
super, super cool. So, some fun facts about the queue. I'm never letting Mike. So, just a note for you guys out there behind the scenes. Um, I usually make my notes are always like kind of a mess. It's the way my brain is. I put them in my own private document usually because I don't like other people seeing my notes, including Mike. And this time I put them all in here and he just went through it and changed a whole bunch of stuff and made funny things and it says fun farts about the queue. Thanks for that. So as I
I'm
stumble through
curious to see if
these,
you would just
that is
read
why.
it as is.
Fun facts about the queue they gave us. The temple that you see in the queue outdoors, 12 feet up above that is all foam. I had no idea. She announced it to
Oh,
us like we all should know it. I didn't know that one. She's like, I'm sure you guys know this, but the temple is all foam above 12 feet. Excuse me.
wow.
Absolutely makes sense. Did not know that. They used 14 different types of peat moss to age the temple. Again,
Wow.
like one of those moments where you just really find out that Imagineering is doing like the work, right? Like, man,
I
they're
gotta say, they should have done that with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. There's some
ouch.
there's there's some parts, especially like at the mouth of the cave, where the it's giving like IKEA grass, artificial grass.
We're seeing this a lot more right now. Like that whole
Uh,
new Haunted Mansion store, like there's just so much
I
stuff that I'm
mean,
like,
the
what
Polynesian,
happened?
the
We've
island
lost it.
tower, fake plants in the
Oh
island
yeah,
tower.
the fake
Oof.
plants.
Well, here's the feedback.
Yeah.
Hope you're listening.
It's funny because I remember when they changed, these are both similar timing. They updated Matterhorn and Alice in Wonderland, and I liked them both. I was like, actually,
Yeah.
I trust the new Imagineers. This is good. This looks great. I'm happy with this. And now we're getting stuff like this. I'm like, all right, maybe not.
Oops. And because we know they can do it, like the 14 different types of
Yeah.
peat
And that's like
moss
the
on
whole,
the
that's
temple.
literally what makes it so good
Yeah.
is that they put that time and effort into making it like really amazing. Anyway, the Jeep outside the in the outdoor area is a real prop from one of the indie
Oh.
films. So it's a German, I think it's actually a real like truck Jeep thing that was used in like a war also. Like pre
Oh.
that. It's like a German vehicle.
Brrr.
Yeah, it's crazy. Um, the book that you see on a table as soon as you enter the temple is it's laid out and it's the archaeologists doing their dig. And if you pay attention when you're going through, like this is another thing some people just kind of look past. You're supposed to be in an archaeologist dig site. So there's like a lot of the they'll put up like those not borders, what's the word I'm looking for? Like framing that helps keep up the land when they were like
Oh
digging out
yeah.
these
Yeah.
tunnels
Uh-huh.
and like the lighting
Like the
system they have like the
scaffolding underground.
flickering lights and like they're on wires, you know, like all this stuff shows that you're in a dig site, which is super cool. So you'll see the book that they were working on when they found this mural of Mara, and it shows the three different wishes you can get. So they're learning this stuff already about Mara at the
Ooh.
beginning of the site. Um, so super cool. And then they made this joke that was really funny about how Disney holics like us, we follow the rules, right? However, the average guest does not. So they had some fun with that in the queue by pulling like signage that says don't pull the rope and don't shake the pole or whatever, right? There's like things that, you know, they want you to actually reach out and pull the rope and shake the pole, but like they try to make you not, right? By telling you not to. It's just kind of cool to see them like do the reverse psychology thing on people. Um, and let's see here. I already talked about the stone rolling door that's propped open. He said something about a cubby hole that you put your hand in. Do you know about this?
In the queue?
Yeah.
No.
The thing I thought of first was on Pirate's Lair, and there's this cubby you could put your hand in. It looks like you're grabbing the treasure. It's like a Pepper's Ghost effect, where you could
Oh.
grab the treasure, but it's just not really
I
there.
wonder if this effect didn't stay long or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew more about that one because I was like, when he said it, I was like, huh? And you don't like get to ask questions. I was very curious what's happening. There's an obelisk that you see in one of the rooms that you kind of walk around. They use maraglyphs, which is the secret language they created to give tributes to Imagineers that worked on the attraction. So you'll see all along the walls all these maraglyphs, and it's just they're actual people's um, initials, which is way more fun than just like random stuff on the walls, right? So I always think that's super cool. I like to point that one out to people. And then speaking of maraglyphs and Imagineers, they originally created the language of Marglis for themselves. They weren't going to tell people. They're going to leave
Oh.
each other like messages. They're like, we have to use these in the queue, so let's just like leave fun messages for each other. No one else know it. But then when they partnered up with the sponsor AT&T, AT&T found a great way to use Marglis. So then they had to make them so we had this decoder card, and it was just a whole other experience, which they ended up liking better anyway. But it was just like kind of funny to hear that they were going to use
And
it
it
as
was
their own
all like
secret code.
AT&T commercial phrases like
Yep.
call home or no place like home or something. I forgot.
They even had some clever one over the water. I forget what it says. There's like a water fountain that they have some funny message over the top of, but and then speaking of Imagineers, Tony Baxter, as a lot of you know, he's a Disney legend, excuse me. He actually wanted the queue to be a maze originally. And I was like, what? I wish I
That's
could
doing too
like
much,
see the
doing too
concept
much.
on that. Doing too much.
It's already confusing for like they said the average person to like know where to go.
I love that.
I'd like get the F out of my way. We know how to get through this. We're trying to get through this.
Right. Oh, yeah. Especially for us Disney holics. Be like, oh, God, we have to walk through that whole. It's so long that we have to freaking walk through that maze again. Okay. Okay. I'm with you on
Fine.
that too. So, one of the biggest areas in the attraction is called the Cavern of Death, which I did not know had a name of that sort, which sounds very ominous. And this is that big epic room that you see when you turn the corner after you see Indiana Jones holding the door shut, right, for you to go through. And the big bust of Mara's there, and she's pissed. There's lava flowing out of her. She's shooting lasers out of her eyes, trying to find you and like capture you. Whole bunch of stuff going in that room.
And
And I
usually
found out,
when it's timed as planned, you'll also see a Jeep going through it, right? Another Jeep.
yes, yep, you'll see
Ooh,
in
that's
front of you,
so
there's a
cool.
Jeep, so you can
That's like
see
a
where you're going to
movie.
be headed. Yep.
Wow.
There's actually three whole separate times that you go in that room, right? You go and you first see the big reveal of it, go around, you go over the bridge, and then you come back under the back side of it too. So you're just in that room back and forth a whole bunch of times. It's just really
So
cool.
cool.
That room itself is 5 stories tall, which is kind of cool to think about too. It's
Wow.
huge. There's over 2,000 skulls crafted in there, not real ones, thank you. And they had one of their failed effects in there. If you ever look up into the ceiling, you can see a funnel that used to drop basically giant chunks of ice that looked like rubble. So it looked like the room was caving in on you. So it was like added this element of
Oh.
like, oh my gosh, we're in this room falling apart. But for me, some way, like the room already feels like that. Like I
Yeah.
still know in my head that that's what's happening in there. Maybe it's just the
That's
sound.
smart that they used ice because then it just melts and goes back up to the top.
Yeah,
Genius.
super
Genius.
smart,
Make it
except
work.
for it broke and froze over all the time.
Why
So
can't they figure it out? Come on. If I have an ice
come
maker on my
on.
countertop from TikTok, I think by now they can figure
You're
out.
all, hello, I play Roller Coaster
I
Tycoon.
play roll and I hold ice over it and I drop it into the thing.
So another thing they talked about was the technology behind the ride. One of the things was the ride vehicle, and this blew my mind. The ride vehicle, the Jeeps, the super cool Jeeps we've been talking about, they can't go backwards, like at all. Like, what? So when they were programming the ride, they had to do little sections and then they had to ride it through the whole thing to get back to that same spot to change it or fix it, and then do it again for every foot or whatever
Wow.
on the track. So it took them ages, and they said people were getting sick, like to their stomach from having to ride it so many times. Like, oh my God.
Wow.
That blows my mind that that thing can do so many cool things, but it can't go backwards,
Can't go backwards.
right? And I'm
It's gonna
like,
break.
and I almost had that moment you just had about the ice. It's like, fix it. How can you
Yeah.
not figure out how to go backwards if you can do all that other stuff? Like, that's just crazy to me. And then some of you may already know this too. This is one of my other fun facts I love showing people on the ride. In the scene at the end where the ball is rolling towards you, the ball is obviously on like a peg, right? So it's spinning, but you aren't moving backwards, even though you feel like you are. The whole room around you is moving backwards. And the way I show people is I tell them to look at the floor because the floor doesn't move, but you see the walls moving, right? And it's just crazy. And I always knew they did that, and I thought it was to enhance the speed of how fast it feels like you're moving. But I thought you still move backwards. Turns out you're just moving, you're shaking while the room moves around you to give you the effect of moving backwards, which is just crazy to
It's
me.
that
Like,
weird like vertigo feeling for like 3 seconds. You're just like,
yeah, yeah.
whoa.
And a fun fact about that, Tony Baxter came up with that effect while he was in a drive-through car wash. Have you ever been in those where you're
Oh
parked,
yeah.
but the
Yep.
things move around you and you feel like you're moving?
It
Yep.
totally that always trips me out when I'm in there. And then that
Yeah.
big one comes over the hood and the top.
Oh, so exciting. I love car washes. Okay. Um, so another fun fact they told us about this was that the technique of having multiple adventures was another huge innovation for this ride. Hadn't been done before. They were super excited about in Imagineering. They did all this extra work to make it happen to where each time you go on the ride, it's different, right? This is the first time we saw that, and it's really cool. So maybe your car stalls in one room, and next time it drives right through it, or you lean and bend different ways in the car. It's just like a little different
I
experience
didn't
every
notice
time.
that. I
Yeah, so
thought it
there's
I thought except for the Mara wish, I always thought it was the same.
Oh, you didn't even notice the car stalling part? I've always noticed that one.
No, no, I thought it just always stalled. That's
Oh
weird.
no. I mean
Yeah.
it usually
Mandela.
stalls, but it's at different places for sure. And then
Oh
sometimes it doesn't
wow.
stall at all. Like every time it doesn't stall, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're going because I usually get the stalling. Like I guess
And
we're
then the
just gonna go
bugs,
through
are the
this.
bugs right after that?
The bugs are before that, I think.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah. Ta-da! I can hear the soundtrack right after the bugs. Oh my gosh, so cool. So one thing that was really funny about this though was that they, realized like guests don't actually care about that. Like they don't. People aren't like us where they go all the time. They go like once a year. They're not going to remember last year this car stalled in a different room than it did this year. And so they did all this work to like fine tune this multiple adventure opportunity, and most people didn't even realize it's happening, right? It was kind of funny to hear
There you
and
go.
talk about it. Plus, you're so distracted. There's snakes coming at you, and Mara's shooting lasers. Like so much, there's real fire pyrotechnics going on in the room. And here you are, like worrying about where your car is stalling, right? So, like, people didn't even notice it was happening. But it was cute because in my head, when they were saying that, I was like, what, all of us in here probably did. And the host of the show piped in and he was like, I bet who did appreciate it is everybody in this room. We're like, yeah, we all
And it's
cheered.
such
It was
a small one. It's not like it's a different room or something.
right. Yeah. It's
Adventure,
just
yeah.
the way you adventure through. And she said that it was like a whole thing. Like they spent a lot of time on it. And then they realized later, like, oh, I guess that wasn't really effective for most people. So that kind of wraps up a lot of the topics they talked about the original creation of this attraction. And it was so fun. But they moved on to Sharita Carter, which I said is like kind of the more new school version of this updates that we saw a couple years ago now. And she did things like projection mapping in the attraction. She also worked on the projection on the scrim. So there's like a couple added scenes that we didn't see before.
There she
Also,
goes again with the scenic illusions or whatever.
that's that's it. She loves those scenic illusions. She also worked on the lighting and colors and things like that to kind of make things pop a little more. I always notice there's this one little room before the blowing darts room that it looks like there's a fire down the hallway now. Like there's somebody maybe down there with a torch on. And I always loved it. And I'm like, I
Oh.
feel like that's new. And then totally it is. Like that was just like regular stone room before, but now like they added this lighting feature to like make it look cooler. So loved that. And then one of the biggest changes that she worked on was actually Mara herself. So the host of the show said, "You got Mara to you helped Mara to open her eyes for the first time." Isn't that
Ooh,
cute?
that's cool.
So cute. I love that. And what she did was this projection mapping on the face of Mara for multiple different adventures of you getting through that room and seeing either the riches or the beauty or the wealth or whatever it is that you're getting your wish of. And she had to create those different faces. And they showed us a bunch of images and video of how they did this. And they actually created a bunch of different scaled busts of Mara's face and they used practical effects on them to learn how to create these digital
Oh,
projections.
that's cool.
So, for instance, there's one where it looks like her face is melting, and they used paint for that. They just poured paint at the top of it and saw how it would drip down the face, and then they used that in the graphics to like make it look like it's melting away. So that was super super cool to see. Like they had one that reminded me of like the Statue of Liberty photo op they have with like the big face. They had one of those of Mara. They also had smaller ones that they could work on right, like at their eye level. It was just so fascinating. It was really cool. So that was such a good talk. And at the very end of it, Susan or it was just Susan, one of the Imagineers, shared that they had this annual pass holder night before the attraction opened. I am
Oh,
so,
wow. They did things like that back then too?
they did heck of cool things back then.
Wow.
Like things that we would pay a lot of freaking money for nowadays. And it was free. It was just an annual pass holder night just because it wasn't that popular to have an annual pass in 95, right? Like
Wow. Magic key.
so crazy. What they did, this is nuts. It was before the ride even opened. So, first of all, you're getting a preview of a brand new attraction before anybody else. So cool already. But her and Tony Baxter would sit on the hood of the Jeeps and they would slow it down to like, I think she said like a 16th of the speed or something. They would sit on the Jeep and ride through with you and tell you about the making of it.
What?
Like a behind the scenes tour, and they're just sitting on the Jeep
That's so
willy-nilly.
weird.
What the heck?
OSHA would never allow it. How did that
OSHA was
pass?
not a thing, I think. They did not have their hands on that yet. But
Wow.
they do that for annual pass holders. Like, how
That's
cool is
cool.
that? Oh my God, I died when I heard that. I was like, can you please create a real-time machine? So yeah, so that is a wrap on the talk. There were a couple other things though I wanted to mention after the talk that we got to do at the Imagineering campus. So
Glendale.
yeah, we got to spend a couple hours there. It was really cute. They have a lot of stuff in their campus that you can just like go take pictures in. They have like a Skyway bucket, a people mover car. They had a bunch of stuff from Bugs Life or Bugs Land, sorry.
Oh. Oh.
Like the popsicle stick bench sticks or
Oh,
bench
that's
benches.
cool.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
They also had a ladybug spin car where you could get
Oh,
in and like spin it. And of course, they had Heimlich. So cute. So they had a
that's
ride
cool.
vehicle from Heimlich. Um, and then they have a Starbucks on property there, and they made a special themed drink just for the day. It was called the Chai of Destiny.
Ooh, I
So
like
cute.
that. I like that they're all getting into it.
I know, and I also like that it was the only drink I ever drank at Starbucks. Just happened to be. So it was made to be, right? Meant to be. Made to be. Sure. One of the things I've always thought was like kind of giggly
Oh,
and
you mean
probably
you only
immature.
have you like chai at Starbucks? It
Yes,
took me a second.
I only drink chai at Starbucks. Yes. One of the things on the property there that I've always giggled about, like as an adult, is they have a cafe called the Big D Cafe, and it's just like funny. And I was just
Anytime
like,
I see
why
it
is
on
it named that?
Instagram, I'm like, what?
Yeah, yeah. So I finally asked somebody about it, and turns out it's named after an Imagineer. And I don't know much else about it. They
Oh,
didn't have much else and other information, but I want to look into that. But it definitely wasn't a term back then. Like the big D, like just the D in general wasn't a term yet. So like they didn't have to think twice when they were creating it. It was just like the big D. That's what they called the guy. It's like his nickname.
I always thought it meant the big D because it's the big D in the Disneyland sign. For some reason in my mind, that
I
was
mean,
the
they have a
lore.
big
Yeah,
Disneyland D out in front of
yeah.
it, so
That's the
I
lore
can
I
see why
made
you
up.
think that. But yeah, it was actually like a tribute to one of the Imagineers who passed. So that was interesting on its own. We also got to go shopping at Mickey's of Glendale, which if you've been to D23, you may have had access to that before, but they have a lot of studio stuff there. They had like kind of all the different branches of Imagineering broken down into different merchandise you could buy. One of the things I bought that I really love is you know when you have like a key card at work and you keep it on like a clip that goes on your belt and you could and it's like elastic, you could pull out like on a string
Yes, I like
and it
that.
has
For casinos, that's where I put my
oh,
casino
okay, okay.
card. And they
So
used to give them out for
they
free, and I'm so mad that they don't. Side note.
no more physical anything. Jeez.
No,
Um, so they had that for WED. So just I have like a little WED. It looks like to me it looks like very official, like you work there. So I thought it was cool to have. So you
that's
get to buy
cool.
one of those
That's a
little
good one.
pull string things. Yep. I also got a bunch of other stuff. They had some stuff from D23 that was discounted like 70% off. I was like, yes. So I bought some of the
Ooh.
stuff I liked but didn't want to spend the money on, and now it's like 30% of the cost. So I got to um, bank out on that. And last but certainly not least, this was a very cool thing. And I'm already seeing one of the things that Mike added in. So this was the Walt Disney Imagineering Preview Center. Brand new. We were the first group to get to go through it from public-ish. Um, so lots of first. I thought that was like interesting. That's how that all landed out. But this was a behind the curtain look that you could actually touch and play with things. So think of
Oh,
it, if you've been to D23, think of the Imagineering Pavilion where they show all their new innovations,
I love
but you
it.
can actually like touch stuff. I got to touch a Stuntronic and like they have the hollow tile floor, for instance, the one of the Imagineers created where you can just walk in place and it rolls with your walking. So it's going to be really good for like VR, for instance.
Oh,
They didn't have that for us to go on to, but they had a small version that you could move little characters around on it and see
really?
how it works.
That's the
Yeah.
one that piques my interest the most when I see it on like YouTube or TikTok, because I want to know what the heck they're going to use that for. And I think it's one of those things, like you mentioned with the Indy Jeep, they're just like building cool stuff. And then later they'll figure out how they'll use it. Another example was the Stuntronic they built, not knowing what it was for. And then eventually we got it for Spider-Man Avengers Campus West.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
so cool.
Very, very cool. They also had things like illusions that they've used on other things that we may have already seen out or not. Like there's this really cool, oh my God, it was like free drugs. I kept saying free drugs. It was like this fire, you know, those old school fiber optics, like the little
Yes, from
plastic
like
things with the
Spencer's.
light at the end.
Yeah, Spencer's
I think of
gifts.
my grandma's house with like
Yes,
the cube with the
flowery in a
flowers in
glass
it in
thing.
the
Yep.
yeah. So they had like the plastic long strands with the fiber optics at the end, but it was on this vibrating plate. So it was like it was just like crazy to look at. Like I could just sit there and like you're able to touch it and put your hands in it. It was just like a trip. Like I
Ooh.
could sit there all day and do that. It was super cool. They also had some of the effects that we saw. I remember seeing them at the Imaginary Pavilion, like the um I don't know what it's called. Maybe it's similar to like a holograph or something where it looks like there's a drink there that you can grab, but it's not actually there. And they're using that, I think, in the Haunted Mansion parlor on the Disney Treasure.
Oh, let's
Um,
go.
yeah, let's go.
Let's
And then
go.
they also had the demo that they had. This is definitely a throwback. So they had the demo of Journey of Water inspired by Moana, right? Do you remember seeing
Ooh,
that at the Imagineering Pavilion years
that's
ago?
cool. You know what
Yep.
is even more interesting is that did you know Sharita Carter, Imagineer, was also she had so many jobs at Disney. One was she was the manager and producer of Blue Sky Strategic Initiatives. So she was the one that would like
Man.
build those Blue Sky cellars and what goes inside of
Oh,
it.
cool.
She's just cooler and cooler the more. we talk
I
about
always think
it.
about those specific kind of jobs. I almost, because I don't think I have the skill to create the innovations, but those, like that specific job, just think about that for a second. She gets to
Yeah.
go and like check them all out and then pick like what is coolest to show people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like people that work in the archives, like, oh my God, I would love that.
That's
Like
so
just
neat.
get to
And then
like,
you learn how to do this stuff while you're doing it
yeah,
too.
yep,
So cool.
absolutely.
Blue Sky Sharita.
Blue Sky Sharita. She's had the coolest jobs. Maybe we should do a whole episode just on her.
We
Get her on
should.
the show. Sharita, give us a call. Anyway, so that's a wrap. That was the whole experience. I am very excited for this new series. I hope they really hope that they keep rolling them out. I mean, everyone seemed like they really had a great time. There's no complaints from anybody I saw. So hopefully this is something they'll continue and I will be at every single one of them as long as I could get a ticket.
More D23 Spotlight events, please.
Yes, so today we
Series.
talked all about that. You got to go on a whole journey with me through the making of Indiana Jones Adventure, visiting Imagineering campus, and we had some, kind of interesting updates from our own spaces of living near Disney parks.
Well, thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed episode 233 of the Disney Holic Show.
Follow us on social media at the Disneyholics.
And if you want to get in touch, send us a DM on Instagram or contact us at thedisneyholics.com.
Okay,
Okay, bye.
bye.